Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So we're going to get started soon. I'm waiting for my brother to join. We're going to be talking about Kevin Samuels and his legacy and, just about his passing. I know that he passed a few weeks ago. And, people are still talking about him and what he represents and his legacy and everything. So we're going to discuss that. So hopefully my brother will be able to join shortly. I did a couple of videos here on TikTok explaining what I thought about Kevin Samuels and his legacy, but we're going to elaborate on it a little bit more in this video. So if you all can just bear with me a second. We'll get started soon. I'm just waiting for my brother to tune in. Just bear with me a second. Shout out to Def Rocker. I see that he's in the house. Yeah, my eye is bothering me, so that's why I had these shades on. So y'all got to bear with me a second. So hopefully, I'm just waiting for my brother to join and we can get started. I'm gonna send him a quick text message. So I'm just waiting for him to join, and then we can get started with this discussion. Because we touched on it a little bit. We talked about his legacy in another live stream that we did. I think it was on. It may have been on YouTube or TikTok. I can't remember which one it was, but we talked about Kevin Samuels. Because you know that there was a reaction, like when he passed away, you had a lot of women basically celebrating his passing, a lot of black women in particular, but you had some black women that basically co-signed, a lot of the things that he talked about. So we should get started soon. So I'm just waiting for my brother to join. But in the meantime, I'll just start off with some basic thoughts about Kevin Samuels and his legacy. First of all, there's a lot of things that I disagree with Kevin Samuels on. And I'm going to go through some of the things that I disagree with him on while I wait for my brother to join. One of the things that I strongly disagree with him about is like this heavy focus on a so-called high-value man and stuff like that. This focus on, these top-earning black men, as if to suggest that a man's worth is based solely on how much he earns and how many material possessions that he acquires and stuff like that. I think that kind of focus is misplaced. People aren't judged simply by how many material objects they can acquire. Things such as integrity matter. Things such as one's values matter. Things such as one's personality or, just their character, what kind of person they are. Like, are they a loving person? Are they a caring person? Are they a believing person? Like those types of things, the qualities of a person, period, should supersede a lot of these materialistic things that he primarily focused on. So that's one of the main areas of disagreement that I have with him. Another area of disagreement that I had with Kevin Samuels is his, his view of women. Like he basically viewed a woman's value as being centered around her ability to keep or to attract a high value man and stuff like that. And a woman's worth is not based solely on her relationship with a man. A woman has her own intrinsic value. Her value is not based on her ability to attract and keep a quote unquote high value man. She has worth in and of herself with or without a man. So that's one of the things that I disagree with him on. It suggested a man defines a woman. A man is like at the center of defining a woman's value and stuff like that. And I think that there's something misogynistic about that kind of messaging and stuff like that. He also basically recommended that women that want high value men, that they just basically tolerate infidelity in a relationship, that just goes with the nature of being with a high value man. And I think that that's ridiculous. I don't think that anybody should have to tolerate infidelity. A man definitely wouldn't be willing to tolerate infidelity in his relation. Like most men won't be willing to tolerate infidelity with a woman. So why should we expect women to? I think it's a double standard. And it's like if we wouldn't tolerate, a woman seeing all these multiple men and all that kind of stuff, why should we expect? And I just invited him. Um,
Better man, be great. What up, though? What up, though?
yeah, man. Thanks for joining, man. So I just got started, and I was talking about some of the areas of disagreement that I have with Kevin Samuels and his philosophy and stuff like that. And just about like a lot of his positions and stuff. So I started off just talking about a few things. And yeah, so I can just pick up right now on what you think about like the things that Kevin Samuels said and like his positions on things. But before I do that, I just want to emphasize one other point of disagreement. Like
Hmm?
I really disagree with the way that he talked to black women. Like this man basically entertain people by disparaging and disrespecting women that called into his program. And I think that that's one of the reasons why some black men loved his program, because they were entertained by watching him disrespect women and stuff like that. And I think that they were vicariously living through him, because of their bad relationship experiences. It's like they got some kind of pleasure or joy out of seeing him talk down to women. And it's like no matter what a woman said or did or how she looked, he would have some reason to basically berate them. Even if they were attractive, he would say, well, that's all you bring to the table. If they were unattractive or they were overweight, he had something to say about that. So he was never satisfied. There was no winning with him. And that's one of the curious things that I thought about, is like, why do these women continue to come onto his program? That's one of the biggest questions I had, because without them feeding his program and providing him with these sound bites that go viral, he wouldn't be where he is. Like we first learned about Kevin Samuels, like in terms of the Garden Society, when he disparaged that woman. He said, "You're average at best," and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, man. So those are just some of my thoughts about him. I mentioned a couple of other reasons before I mean, a couple of other thoughts about his philosophy before you joined. But that was the last point. And real quick, one other thing that I'll
Hmm.
say is, you know, uh, that's one of the main problems. Just like the way that he talked to the women, and the fact that so many women supported him is just messed up. But I will say this: like there were some moments of clarity in some of the things that he said. Like some of the things that he said were on point. Like you do have some women that have like completely unrealistic expectations, and some women, just show disrespect towards the average man. It's not quote unquote high value man and stuff like that. So there were some points of agreement. Like nobody's 100% negative, but it's like the negatives for him, at least from my perspective, outweighed the positives. So yeah, man, tell me what you thought about Kevin Samuels and his legacy, man.
Well, I mean, first I'm just gonna say this, man. Rest in peace to Kevin Samuels, and as a man, we know that we all have a date with destiny that none of us will ever be able to meet, nor will we know the date and time of that fateful encounter. Um, Now, as far as it relates to my opinion of Kevin Samuels, first I'm going to spout my opinion about his audience. All right, brutal honesty with these brothers. These are these weak dudes, man. These the weak dudes that have just as absurd of perspective and opinion as some of the women that they make the disparaging comments. Just as unrealistic. Um, First off, let's cut to the chase. Kevin Samuels said that the average black man makes $42,000 a year, which is a fact. So by default and using deductive reasoning, what he's actually saying is the average black man is not a high value black man. So what y'all championing about? He not talking about you, dog. You don't make six figures, man. And okay, I agree with to an extent the statement of these unrealistic expectations from women. But here's the fact of the matter, man, is that they have unrealistic expectations, and so do we. Just like, for instance, what's my man named Lil Durk? He made headlines a while ago talking about his now wife having a low body count, and that was one of the main reasons that he went for her. All right, now here's the thing with that is that we have absurd expectations for our level of sexual prowess for men. So you supposed to have been knocked down 2,000 women right now. But your woman, she better have been with less than five guys. That what world y'all living in? Just real talk. You know what I'm saying? What world are you living in? Then here's the other another thing to consider is like uh how can I put it? This idea that your value as a man is tied up into your economic ability is absurd. George Washington was a rich man, but he was a slave owner. Was he a high value man in terms of his character? Uh, Butch Jones and the Holloway brothers and the guys that, poisoned our community back in the 80s had tons of money. Were they high value men? And
Right.
see that's my thing is that if you just use the oppressor's medium of exchange as a measure of you as a man, uh, you already counted yourself out the equation because the oppressor has designed the economic situation and equation so that only a few will ever be able to get to this multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars per year and have all this discretionary, income just to blow on some broads Birkin bags and all of this kind of stuff. And it's like Kevin Samuels wasn't offering solutions. Was he making videos about how to become a high value man? Was
Right.
he
Yeah,
was
that's a
he
good point.
was he
Yeah.
what was were the women, or was he making little stuff that could be cut down into little snippets to put on TikTok or Facebook that was funny?
Right.
And
It's
then with
my
these
understanding. He offered like some general advice, but nothing specific, like for like men to actually become these high value men that he talks about. Like he has like these little anecdotal, like common sense type of comments about like how people need to focus on doing better and stuff like that. But it wasn't detail oriented. Like I think that is a good point. Like he didn't focus on like how to create these high value men or practical advice on what men can do to reach that pinnacle. Like it was some basic generic type of advice. And that just makes me think about the other point with him, like you know, and I don't expect people to be perfect, but like if you're going to offer relationship advice, you would actually expect somebody to be an expert. Like if I'm going to the gym and I need a personal trainer, like the last thing that I would do is have somebody that's like completely out of shape that doesn't, know much about exercise and stuff like that. Basically, trying to have them as my personal instructor, or going to like somebody for medical services and they don't have a medical license, or going to a lawyer that doesn't, that didn't go to law
But
school and hasn't been
and,
successful. And that's one of the
and
problems with him. Like he's been like, and we all have faults and stuff like that, but this man has been divorced. Like he didn't remarry and all that kind of stuff. So and then like just when you look at the circumstances of his life, like he was a single man, and I understand why he was single, but it's like if you're going to be a relationship advisor, like you would think that you have some kind of model that you can point people to say this is what I was able to achieve and you can achieve it too, or something to that effect. And that's like one of the problems with what his
listen,
advice that he was given,
listen,
like he didn't. Yeah.
man, listen, man. If we talk, forget all this dating advice, man. Forget all of that stuff. 90% of these people that makes that bread and butter are some kind of pick me, or coming up with some kind of scheme, or pandering to the dysfunctionality in either men or women. Like these fools that talk this alpha male stuff, or these guys that come on TikTok talking about don't get married, you're gonna end up with domestic violence, all of this kind of. It's like I'm not mad at you, but it's like listen, man, if it's not something that is conducive to rebuilding a strong black family, I don't want to hear it. And it's like this dating advice is all from the vantage point of control. Everything is about control. We're the only race of people that's having these absurd uh, conversations about who's in control in relationships. It's like it's a relationship is not about control or controlling somebody or getting them to do what you want them to do. It's about two people deciding that they're going to be together and be there for each other despite the rigors and adversity that the inclemencies of the seasons of life render upon one's life. And I'm
Mhm.
saying like this is that, man, later for that, if it's not teaching men how to guide and lead and leadership as a model of servitude, then get the hell out of here. I got nieces, sisters, and cousins, and I don't want them dating or hooking up with some man that's been listening to Kevin Samuels. I don't care how much money he got. No woman should be sitting up going into a situation like, you know what, he gonna cheat on me, and I just need to uh uh I just need to accept it because he's a high value man. No, hell no, we both high value. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I'm just saying it's a lot of weaklings out here, and it's like no, beware of these self-appointed scholars. Yeah, I agree with that. Um, especially if you talk if the self-appointed scholar is somebody posing as somebody offering solutions and help for our people, but really they're just disseminating divisive information that is destructive. We cannot rate each other using the standards that the oppressor sets. How about being a high value man means you have good character? Because you're going to lay down in the bed with that character. That body and that face and that money and all that stuff is irrelevant when it comes to the day to day living. It might make things more comfortable, you know. And
Hmm.
then shouldn't men look for something more than what's your weight size? What's your
Right. Yeah,
dress
that's a
size?
good point. Yeah, that's something I didn't mention. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the things that he talked about in terms of what a man looks for are really superficial. Like he just talked about, like, I mean, he had this big thing against like single mothers, like, and women based on their age and their weight and all that kind of stuff. And the fact of the matter is, like, the fact that somebody is a single mother doesn't like disqualify them from a quality relationship. Like there are plenty of examples of men who have married women that have children and they end up being great stepfathers to those children and being a good role model for those children. And it's like, how can you like track the one of the things that's like so backwards about this attack on single mothers is that there's no accountability for men in their role in making single mothers and stuff like that. It's like, they bash the single mother, but they don't hold the man accountable for creating single mothers and for not being there for their children and stuff like that. And it's like they think the answer is to just abandon these women and just leave them out there. And I get like what some people are saying, like in terms of like how, I'm not going to say that all women are angels and that they can do no wrong. We know that they're, manipulative women and men and stuff like that. So I'm not one of these people that's looking at things through rose-colored lenses or somebody that's out here simping, because I do understand that there are women that exploit men and do men wrong and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I just think that if we want to deal with the problems in our community, we cannot afford to have this gender war going on in our community. The last thing we need is further division. Should be about like building family, like you pointed out. And it's just sad. I mean, and part of me understands like the hostility to like why some people have hostility towards marriage and stuff. Like just in light of like the legal implications and how in a lot of ways there are issues that men face when they get married and stuff like that. Issues of like if they get married and there's a divorce and you got to deal with like alimony, child support, and your assets being taken that you spent your life building up and stuff like that. And there are stats that point to the fact that more women divorce than men and stuff like that. But I think that those are real issues that need to be dealt with. But the answer cannot be for us to run away from marriage. Like we can't say that we have an issue with single mothers and then at the same time advise men not to marry, not to marry and uh, build strong families. The absence of the family is what has led to a lot of the problems that we see in our community. A lot of these problems that we have are a direct result of that. Like we know like now, like over 70% of black households are single parent households. That's not good. That's not something that's positive. That's something that is undermining our community. Um,
But
the
but
family is the basis of any community. That's like the nuclear, I mean, like the cell structure of any community. Once that breaks down, then the whole community in a lot of ways can collapse.
hey man, listen, I was gonna make a TikTok about it. But like in molecules of atoms or what have you, you got the neutrons, the protons, and the electrons. In the nucleus of the atom, it's the neutrons and the protons. And a nuclear explosion or nuclear reaction happens when somehow or the other that combination between the neutrons and the protons can be broken in the nucleus of the atom. And that energy is so powerful that if it's not properly harnessed, right, it becomes destructive. And that's what we call radiation or a nuclear explosion. Whereas the sun is a continuous, self perpetuating nuclear explosion that's controlled. And I'm saying like this is the family. You got father, mother, child. If you break that bond between the father and the mother, you have a nuclear explosion because the nucleus of the family has separated. And you see this destruction. Our boys have filled up every prison in this country. Our daughters half naked on this application right here and on Facebook and Instagram and now being a bad bitch is the moniker to be desired. And I'm saying is that the split between the father and the mother in the last 50 years is the cause of that. And the oppressor perpetuates it because it's profitable. And then I'm also saying is that all of everything you said, whether it's the simping and whether it's this or that, all of it boils back down to character qualities. We got to stop throwing basketballs and footballs at our son and stop and all while neglecting their mental and moral growth and development. And we got to stop putting makeup and dresses on our daughters without filling them up with something to counterbalance the evils that society says about them. And that's why so many sisters got this low self esteem, because all of us have been programmed with an implicit bias against ourselves. But it's worse for the woman because not only is she black, but she's a woman too. And this oppressor is not only a racist, but he's a sexist. So she gets it twice as hard. And so she becomes a perpetuation factory of the situation of subjugation. And what I'm saying is that it takes strong men to undo that. And then it's like this. It's like I just talked about the boys filling up the jails. If all of the good men with economic capital are running away from these boys that need mentors and fathers, then we're going to keep this dysfunction going. So I'm not with none of that weak stuff that Samuels was perpetuating. I ain't with no victimhood of the black man or the black woman. Don't enter in no situation that's going to be adverse to your growth and development as a man. Don't enter, but at the same time, let's cut the jazz, man. Brothers are not dating to get married. Brothers are not dating, looking for wives most of the time. A lot of us is looking for quick thrills with as least commitment and sacrifice as possible. And then see, we not coming on no podcast saying that to no brother. See, when I was a FOI, I learned it to be in the personal company of a woman without a chaperone was a privilege and an honor, and not everybody was worthy of that. This society tells you as a black man, hey, you 16, hey, I know you got that BBC, it's time to break them down. And we're not telling these boys that you need to have a resource strategy to get with the woman who should have a reproductive strategy and some standards. And I'm saying until we get that kind of self-check going on in the mind, man, this foolishness gonna keep going. And Kevin Samuels and what was that other clown that was cheating on his wife? Derek Jackson. All of these guys are different symptoms of the same broken down disease, and I'm sick of all of it. And I'm saying it's like, yeah, rest in peace, brother Kevin Samuels. But I've had enough of your clips. I've had enough of the female reaction to his clips. And it's like, why do y'all keep calling this guy?
Right. Yeah,
He
that's
is
what I was asking. Yeah. Why do they
he
keep doing that?
that's like me calling into a skinhead radio station. Yeah. N-words are lazy and stupid. Hey man, I'm a black man and I just heard hey man, what's wrong with this guy? Quit calling this show, man. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Like, yeah,
So
he wouldn't have an audience if black women weren't calling into his program. And then it's like, yeah, I mean, it's just like they were fueling what he was doing. And then it's like you had these women who basically were celebrating his death, and they didn't realize that by doing that, they were basically perpetuating all the negative stereotypes that Kevin Samuels would promote on his program about black women. They were embodying everything that he was complaining about, and they were breathing new life into, his philosophy and stuff like that. And they were only inspiring more people to follow after Kevin Samuels and to repost his stuff. So, and it's just sad to see like this ongoing feud between men and women. And it's just unfortunate, like you were saying, like that so many people don't even, like so many men in particular don't even see marriage as like something realistic. Like, they are only out there to date for the sake of, getting with these women and, just having sex and stuff like that with as many women as possible. It's like we're operating on a low frequency, man, on an animal type of frequency, man. It's like, where we're living on a low level, like the men,
see
and the women.
I gotta go English lesson C1 on this one, man. You know what I'm saying? Why does he fear the devil now that he is a big man? Because the devil taught him to eat the wrong foods, man. And it's the things that we're taking into ourselves, the perspectives that we are taking into our minds. Listen, man. So long as our mind is captive, it don't matter what laws the oppressor passes for our liberation, we gonna do something foolish. It's just like you have all these people that talk about reparations, for instance. Hey, if we don't have a mental transformation before we get some reparations, we're gonna destroy ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
These young boys gonna buy up all of the promethazine that's on the stocks, baby. The tough Negroes go they hey, you gonna see somebody driving down the street with a Hummer with a 50 cal on the back of that boy. Talking about we riding for the ops, tanks and all of this stuff, and you know what I'm saying, expensive belts. You know, we gonna do that, but we not gonna do nothing that's gonna really transform our lives. You know, for a minute it was a trend, you know, where we were kind of discouraging our people from going to college. Talking about go to trade school. I ain't mad at that. But damn it, we need plumbers and electricians, but we also need some damn lawyers and doctors
Right.
and
Exactly.
accountants and people that do everything. Stop
Mm-hmm.
saying stop this anti-intellectualism, this tube thinking of what it means to be a black man. Like, oh, he's smart, oh, he's soft, he's a whole man. No, it's like get that out of here, man. And I know I sound like somebody. Yes, the devil gives him nothing. No, yeah, yes, but see, here's the thing: is that man, when we talk about those lessons, man, we got to understand that in English lesson C1 specifically, the devil this reference is really talking about the uncle that was taken later on, because it says, why does Muhammad or any other Muslim murder the devil? Because he is 100% wicked and will not abide by the laws of Islam. Silly people would take that to think, let's go kill white people. And actually, in the early history of the Nation of Islam, that was one of those nutcase guys' job idea. But that really is talking about the internal devil. But I digress. I could talk about that forever, man. But you know, my whole thing, man, is just this: is that, man, there is dysfunction in our community that produces an appetite for a Kevin Samuels. People like him profiteer off that dysfunctionality, and I'm just not with it. So what I started doing shortly before the brother passed is, I just, whenever I saw his stuff, I just kept scrolling. I didn't I didn't have time for that. I didn't have time for bickering back and forth. I don't have, just
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm not about to join no chick's live stream that's talking all this crazy stuff about men and how men are horrible. I'm not joining it. It's just like, you, I don't know if you was on TikTok yet, but there was this sister who was talking about how she gonna feed her kids first. And all of the Mogtaws and angry guys was all on the tangent about, see, that's why you ain't got no woman and you ain't got no man and did you see that trend?
Yeah, I did see that video, and yeah, I didn't understand like what the
I
fuss
don't
was.
give a damn who eats first. It's like, look, it's my damn house and my food. I'm gonna eat. What kind of weak
Exactly, man.
man is? What kind of weak man's ego is so sensitive that if a little kid eats first, he's just like, oh, she's disrespectful.
Yeah, just as a
What
man, like
kind of the Fred Flintstone?
I would want my children to eat before me. Like I want to make sure my children are fed before I eat. You know what I'm saying? Like what I look like eating and my kids don't have a plate. You know what I'm saying? Like my kids
Yeah.
are my priority. So I didn't get like why people were debating about that, like why that was some big deal or anything like that. It's just like interesting, like the things that people like to debate about. It's like both sides like love to go back and forth with each other, unfortunately, and that speaks to the dysfunction you're talking about. Like, you know, where you have like you actually have men on here that will they praise white women, but they degrade black women, and they don't realize how clownish and buffoonish they look before the whole world doing so. And the same is true for women that do the same thing. Like they will praise the white man and
Hmm.
bash the black man. You really expect people to respect you when you don't even respect yourself? Like you expect those white men to have some respect for you and you don't even respect your own black men, you know. And it's just like that's the kind of mentality that a lot of our people have, unfortunately. And I was thinking about it today, like in particular, you have a lot of these women that are like all about divesting from the black man and the black community, and they claim that they're doing this all for the sake of promoting the interests of black women and protecting black women and their interests. And the thing is, like, one of the things that I find odd with those people is that, those women in particular, is that they never speak out to defend black women when black women are victims of racist violence or police brutality or racism in general. They only speak out on black women's issues when the black man is the perpetrator or the villain. And I just think that that's hypocritical. And you also see the same is true with these men that like to bash women and claim to be about supporting black men. Like, unfortunately, like, a lot of them, they rarely speak on these race issues. And in fact, as you pointed out, a lot of them are like these undercover Trump supporters and stuff like that, these right wing nuts and stuff like that, that are basically like modern day real life Uncle Ruckuses type people.
Yes, sir.
Unfortunately, man, it's just interesting, man. Just like seeing this play out, and we all know like the Willie Lynch letter was not real and stuff like that. But even though it's not real, I think about that whole letter and just how a lot of the things that were purported to be written in that letter are playing out in today's society when we see this division between black men and women. Like, there are people that literally come on here all day and night bashing black men and black women. And at the end of the day, when we bash each other, we bash the black community and we bash ourselves, man. While
Well,
meanwhile, all this stuff is going on. Meanwhile, you got white supremacists killing black people in Buffalo. You got police brutality. Where are we when the real fight needs to be waged?
no, we don't.
The real, you know,
We don't have the heart to have the heart. We don't have the heart to fight the real fight, and we don't have the intellectual ability to really argue the real issues. So what we want, and I'm not saying that to make disparaging comments on us, but um, we would rather have pissing matches with each other than go against. We're gonna shadow box with each other, but then we just gonna throw words at the oppressor. Um, Now, somebody asked a question here, and I'm gonna say it. Would I have bought the kids food? Yeah, I buy. What, as a grown ass man, just with all respect, one of my duties and responsibilities as a man, innate, is to provide. Now, I'm not going to be entertaining any woman with children and think like I'm not going to take care of them kids or give something to those children, like food. Now, I ain't say I was going to buy them no damn Jordan or PS5, but I will make sure they got some food. And I'm saying, is there any man to me that has an issue with a child having a meal? That man right there has an ego that's about as strong as a water balloon. And that's not no real man that any woman should want to lay up with. Now,
right,
just for real, because that's absurd, and it just strikes me to how many black men are these egomaniacs with nothing with
hmm
nothing to show for it.
right,
Okay, all right, the little pornos got all of us. Yeah, BBC. Yeah, good for you, brother. I'm glad you can break a back here and there, but there's more to being a man than that. I'm glad you're the pretty boy and all of the women like you, and I'm glad that all of the Negroes around the block are afraid of you and that you got a nice car. Cool. What's your character like? You that weak where a little kid having some dang on chicken wings is gonna have you turning
hmm
over the table? That's weak as hell. And I'll
yeah,
tell you, anybody that's on that to their face. And now and I'm gonna have to drop off in a second here, big bro. But I mean, my thing is like this: is that, man, some of these people are dead weight, and I'm not concerned with them. I hate to sound that callous, but like my man that was on Twitter talking crazy about black women, and then that white girl killed him. Hey, I'm sorry about that, but I don't have time to protest for you, brother. You know what I'm saying? Rest in
right,
peace to you,
yeah,
and blessings to your family. But I don't have time for you. You are this. You was gonna tell on Nat Turner. That's the kind of black man you was. You was telling the man when Harriet was coming. That's you. So I don't have time for you. You know what I'm saying? You go ahead and go along and be the man's little puppy. I ain't got time for you. I'm concerned with those that are trying to build, those that's talking about some tangible, real stuff, whether it's integration, whether it's separation, whether it's just nationalism, whether it's just being a good damn person and being a good
Yeah.
father. I'm with that. These other people, just like all these tough guys, these tough guys. Oh, he wouldn't have came to the hood in Buffalo and did that. Yes, he would. Yeah, he'd have slid on them gangsters because guess what? Y'all freeze up when they come around. Period.
Right.
So
Yep.
yes, he would have came to the hood and did that, and nothing would have happened, brother. And then the other crazy group is the people talking about it's time for a revolution, man. Look, let's snap out of it. What you gonna do when it's been 2 months and you ain't had a shower and you don't even know how to start a fire from scratch, brother? What you gonna do then? Now cut the foolishness out, man. You know what I'm saying? Like let's be
Yeah.
real, because the little guns, the little AR you got ain't like that AR, the fully automatic boy that the Marines coming down the street with, or that drone that's 2 miles up in the air that you hear it after it didn't drop the bomb and you roasting. What revolution y'all gonna have? And hey, and the spaceship is not coming. You understand what I'm saying? So how about this? We maximize our opportunities while we here, build up a strong community, profiteer off this man's system, use it to funnel back to ourselves, man. Build up communal capitalist type of models, kind of like incrumism, tourism. You know what I'm saying? Look, I had a client, man, when I was a financial advisor. He was a man from Yemen. And I was like, yeah, I need to pull your credit report. He's like, I don't need to pull my credit report. And I said, well, what if you need to take out credit? He said, no, in my community, we don't do it like that. We loan money within our circle with no interest. No, why we can't do nothing like that? But listen, big bro, I'm about to go ahead and hop off right quick, man.
All right,
Um,
man.
hey man, peace, man, blessings, man. I got a big appointment tomorrow, man. So keep me lifted in your prayers, big bro.
Oh, definitely,
I'm
man.
saying, yeah, man,
Definitely.
100, man. So I'm gonna get with you though, big bro.
All right, man. Peace.
All right, peace, man. Hold on, how the hell I get off this?
Oh, let me see. Oh, there you go. Okay. Yeah. So, the only thing that I wanted to add to the discussion is this whole piece about single mothers. And the thing that I'll say about that is this: like, when you are older and you are dating, a man, as a man, most of the women that you're gonna encounter, like as you are older, are women that have children. And if you're going to limit yourself to women that don't have children, you're going to have very few options. And so that's something that people have to take into consideration when they talk all this stuff about not dating single mothers and all that kind of stuff. um, and I don't think that because somebody has children that should disqualify them from a meaningful and real loving type of relationship. um, So yeah, I just had to share that thought before I closed out. But I want to thank y'all for tuning in. I appreciate your support. I encourage you to follow this page, New Possibility Blog. And also, if you're on YouTube, I encourage you to follow my YouTube page, New Possibilities. So, with that, peace and blessings. Have a great day, y'all, and evening.